Welcome. I'm Linda Uhler, President of the Board of Trustees at SCCF, and we have gathered tonight for our annual meeting. Well, while we're used to gathering on the Nature Center porch or at the pavilion at the Bailey Homestead, today we're coming to you live from a studio set up on the third floor of the Marine Lab. When, in the last few months, the most common usage of the verb Zoom changed from going fast to connecting virtually, staff members Jenny Evans and Jeff Zwicky added technology guru to their resumes and outfitted this space, which could be used for virtual outreach of all sorts. So thanks to Jenny and Jeff, who are acting as technical engineer and director today, for helping us adapt to this new set of circumstances. Our annual meeting is a time to look back, to review, and to celebrate what's been done since we last met. So let's begin tonight with Susan Beittel, our treasurer, sharing a snapshot of our financial position.
Good evening. SCCF is in a strong financial position. Contributions this year met our goal during a very difficult environment. The only weakness was a decrease in small contributions. Our endowment fund stands at $6.5 million, and the endowment committee agreed to a 4 3/4% distribution, amounting to $196,000 to fund our operating expenses. A payroll protection plan loan was applied for, it was granted and forgiven. All employees were retained. There was good expense control. Beginning in April, tough decisions were made. Discretionary spending was cut. Some retirement positions were filled by current staff or were left open. The summer intern program was eliminated. All capital improvements were postponed, and all regular summer classes at the C School were canceled. Now let me address our financial challenges for fiscal 2020-21. There's always uncertainty about our contributions. There's uncertainty about tuition income from the C School, and how are we going to replace the income from our 4 major fundraising events. Wines in the Wild became Home Instead with a new creative format. Beer in the Bushes, the launch, and Octafest have not been scheduled. Octafest was the major fundraiser for the C School. The launch was the major event for Coastal Keepers. We have capital improvements that must be made, especially at the Nature Center where major upgrades are required. The team at SCCF feels our conservative financial planning and the tough decisions made in the spring have made the organization well prepared for the future. And thanks to everyone for your continued support. Details about our finances can be found on page 13 in our annual report. And now Doug Reichman, chair of the nominating committee, will give you his report.
Hi. As Susan said, I've had the privilege of being the chair of the nominating committee during the past year. My other committee members who I want to publicly thank were Mary Ellen Pfeiffer, Dick Kyle, Chip Roach, and Laura Schaefer. So first, let me just summarize the nominating committee's 2 major responsibilities. The committee is charged with selecting 3 trustees to serve terms beginning December 2020, this month, through November of 2024. So it's a 4-year term. These nominees will need to be approved by the membership, you all, today. The committee's other main responsibility is to recommend board officers for the coming year. Based on our bylaws, those officers will be elected by the board at its December meeting, which is later this week. So our committee's first responsibility, new board members. You should know that our initial list of candidates was 42 people. That's the number of people we screened. That's about 2 to 3 times more, I think, than this committee's ever had in the past. The committee is excited today to propose 3 outstanding individuals for your approval. These bios were circulated in advance for your review. I'm just going to give you a few highlights in alphabetic order. Our first nominee is Jill McCormick. There's Jill. Jill graduated from Notre Dame with a degree in biology and earned a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree at the University of Illinois. Jill had a successful veterinary practice and eventually retired after she had her 4th child. She became actively involved in leadership opportunities relating to her children's education, including being an advisor to the school district superintendent. Jill is currently a member of the College of Science Advisory Council at Notre Dame. She's also a trustee of the Bowler Family Foundation. Jill and her husband, Dan, who's also a retired veterinarian, have been bringing their family to Sanibel for over 30 years. They purchased a home and now plan to spend the winter season on the island. Jill's family has always been strong supporters of SCCF and other island causes. Jill's family currently sponsors the SCCF McCarthy Lecture Series. On a personal note, Jill grabbed me after the McCarthy Lecture several years ago when I was president and said how excited she was to be spending time on the island and how she really wanted to get more involved at SCCF. So we've done just that. And we're thrilled that Jill has agreed to join the SCCF board. So that's our first nominee. Our second nominee is Ann Nobles. I'm sure Ann's picture will be up in a second. Ann also has a remarkable background. There's Ann. And also has had a long history of involvement with SCCF. Ann received her bachelor's and master's degrees from Harvard and her law degree from Georgetown. She worked for 20 years for Eli Lilly and Company in a variety of senior management positions, including Senior Vice President and Chief Ethics and Compliance Officer. Ann also has substantial board leadership experience. She's been a trustee and the chair of the board of directors of the Indiana University Health System, as well as the Citizens Energy Group. She's also serves as the co-chair of the Indianapolis Prize for Conservation and is on the board of the Indiana chapter of the Nature Conservancy. Ann and her husband, David, have been active supporters of SCCF in a number of ways. Ann established the Edward B. Nobles Endowment at SCCF in her father's memory. Its goal is to preserve the ongoing management of reptile habitat within the SCCF preserves. Pretty cool. Ann's also been the chair of the SCCF Endowment Committee for the last 2 years. I've seen Ann in action with this committee, and she has done a remarkable job of managing our endowment, as well as managing our money managers with skill, grace, and a firm hand. So we're really pleased that Ann will continue her significant involvement with SCCF as a member of the board. Our final nominee for a 4-year term is John Rao. John earned a bachelor's degree and an MBA in finance from Cornell University. He also spent a year at the London School of Economics, and John is a CPA. John had an accomplished career in finance, including spending 15 years living and working overseas in China, Japan, and Europe. After retiring, John took a leadership role locally at the nonprofit Children's Advocacy Center in Fort Myers, where he presently is working. John also has become a very active contributor at SCCF. I first met John and his wife, Jolene, as they were answering the phones as volunteers in the Nature Center. Shortly after that, John joined the Finance Committee, and he was the only committee member other than me who actually wanted to read the entire auditor's report. When one of our board members passed away tragically last year, John agreed to serve out the remaining 18 months of his term in order to strengthen our financial skills on the board. John has been a very effective board member during that time, so we are nominating John for a full 4-year term on the board effective December 2020. So in summary, you can see this is an extraordinary group. Jill, Ann, and John will bring significant skills, fresh ideas, and a commitment to SCCF. Now, the nominating committee nominated these individuals at their November board meeting. The board unanimously agreed and seconded the nomination of these individuals. So I'm here today to present to you, the membership, these three people for approval. In this unusual year, we're going to be using the polling feature on this call to record your vote. So we are recommending approval of these nominees, but we need your vote on the system now, and we'll tabulate these results while we're together. So there's the poll. So if you could respond to that, I would appreciate it. While you're doing that, I want to cover one item of additional interest. Over the past several months, one of our current board members resigned from the board due to increased responsibilities on her work site. The nominating committee was asked to recommend an individual to fulfill the remainder of that term, which is 3 years. The committee unanimously recommended Christinesmanchak, who was officially approved by the board in November. So you don't need to approve that appointment today based on our bylaws, but I do want to share a little bit about Christine's background with you so you know who's representing you. Christine was born in the suburbs of Chicago, and she graduated from Vanderbilt University and Indiana University. She is also a Fulbright scholar. Following college, Christine taught pedagogical and English classes in rural Argentina. For those of you who don't know what pedagogical classes are, it means teaching teachers to teach. Christine and her husband, Kyle, moved to Sanibel in 2016. They are actively involved in raising their 2 school-age sons and in a number of community activities. And Christine previously served on the Sanibel C School Board of Directors, and she'll bring her skills as an educator and other relationships with young families on Sanibel to SCCF. So welcome to the board, Christine. I'm sure we'll have some poll results here in just a second, and I'll give them to you as we have them. As a final matter, I want to let you know the proposed slate of board officers for the coming year. These individuals, as I mentioned earlier, will be confirmed at the December Board of Directors meeting, which is tomorrow. These proposed board set of officers are the following. For President, Don Rice. Don is in his 2nd term on the board, and he brings significant experience as both treasurer and vice president to this job. For vice president, the nominee is Deborah Lagors. Deborah is also in her 2nd term on the board. She's been involved in virtually all parts of SCCF in the past. Deborah has great judgment and has previously also worked with Don in other leadership roles. For treasurer, our nominee is Susan Beittel. You just heard from Susan. Susan has mastered the treasurer role over the past year, and she will continue as a foundation treasurer for the coming year. And finally, for secretary, it's Rand Niehoff. Rand is also in his 2nd board term, and his wisdom and counsel is invaluable on the executive committee and will continue to be for all of us. So, in summary, we believe this is a very strong leadership team who will work with Ryan to bravely take this great foundation into an even brighter future. So we have received the results of this poll, and I'm pleased to tell you that the board nominees have been overwhelmingly approved by the membership. With that, I will conclude my report. Thank you all for your support, and turn the podium over to our CEO, Ryan Orgera. Ryan?
Well, thank you, Doug. I want to thank you and your entire committee for doing such an outstanding job. I want to welcome our new board members. This is a really exciting slate of people and really a great time, despite what you might think, to be coming onto our board. Well, I have to be honest, I can't tell you how much I wish we were doing this in person. The annual meeting is one of my favorite times to see you all and to talk over finger foods and wine. And I hope next year we get to do this together. But I do want to say this. We have made it almost through 2020. Can you believe it? It has been a long haul full of difficulty for all of us. And my heart goes out to any of you who have lost loved ones in this terrible pandemic. The difficulty has been felt at each level of our society, certainly including nonprofit organizations. And this year has forced invention. SCCF staff is incredibly creative. We have found new ways to do just about everything you can imagine and everything that you count on us to do. So from shutdowns, getting in the way of sea turtle volunteering, to having to cancel summer camps and 100 things in between. But this year has also marked many extraordinary things. We have welcomed the Sea School as part of the SCCF family, and it has been an incredible addition to our staff and our organization in general. The Sea School staff have added new perspective to our ranks. The empathy for our natural world that they teach is something special indeed. And 2020 also marked the retirements of Rayanne Wessel and Bruce Neal, both longtime conservationists and beloved members of our team. The city's former natural resources director, James Evans, joined our staff to take on Rayanne's portfolio to become the director of environmental policy, and Nicole Finicum took the baton from Bruce to become the director of the Sea School. And our coastal wildlife team, despite the shutdown, pulled off an incredible feat. They monitored and protected a record number of sea turtle nests and shorebirds on San Abel and Captiva. Our habitat management team continues to monitor box turtles on our islands, and their research is informing the globe on how to relocate terrestrial turtles. And our marine laboratory was awarded a major grant from the Environmental Protection Agency to offer even more data to our policymakers and the public through the Recon network. And the Sea School continues to safely educate children, distanced and masked in small groups. And the kids are still leaving our programs with a sense of wonder about the ocean. And our native landscape staff found creative ways to safely open, selling hundreds of species of native flora to our communities. And our policy staff continued to advocate for clean water in Tallahassee, Washington, and locally. Despite the world around us, we have all found ways to stay safe and keep our shared nature safe. Politically, this year has been an exhausting one, no matter who you backed. Our politics has become about disunion rather than togetherness. Our shared natural resources are not Republican or Democratic. They're not pawns in political games. They are the very framework for our ability to live here. They are the central theme in all that we love here. They are inherently nonpartisan. And if we zoom out to a macro level, clean air, clean water, healthy humans, not rising seas, none of these at their most basic levels have anything to do with partisanship. Every American agrees that these are the things we need. These are the things we want. We are all responsible for the quality of our natural world. And SCCF has long accepted the responsibility of tending to our singular islands. We continue to accept and welcome the responsibility that you have given us, and we are so grateful that you continue to invest your time and funds in our efforts. SCCF's scope of work has simultaneously changed and remained constant over the last 5 decades. We will always be the land stewards of this incredible place. We will continue to manage and hopefully even acquire more lands. However, much of our work has become regional, statewide, or even farther. Our researchers are engaged in a scientific dialogue with specialists from around the globe. Our advocates are engaged with partners across Florida. Our sea turtles and shorebirds attract interest from all over the world. Hundreds of thousands of people viewed SCCF's video of a hatching sea turtle nest. While our heart remains and always will remain based in our island's well-being, our work has become, over the last decade, much broader. Our board and staff engaged in a strategic planning session last year, and from that, we all decided that we needed a mission statement to better represent our work. So as of October, the board has adopted a new and more concise mission statement. And here it is, and you may have seen it already in your invitation: to protect and care for Southwest Florida's coastal ecosystems. We're all excited and confident that this better reflects and captures the work that we do and does not necessarily prescribe a new path. Despite 2020's barriers, SCCF continues to move forward and do the work that you all make possible. So thank you all for everything that you've done for us this year. And now I want to take some time to thank our departing board members for their service on our board during this last year and the last 4 years for all of them. So I want to start by saying that SCCF simply has the finest board you could ever wish for. I've never seen a group of people more willing to help, to offer sage advice, and to drive our mission forward. SCCF is lucky to have them, but really our entire community should be grateful for their incredible commitment to these islands. I have the honor of thanking 3 formidable humans, Shelley Greggs, Robin Kravanek, and Linda Uhler. I will miss all of you dearly. So we'll start with Shelley Greggs, whose picture is not there. I see Linda. There we go. So all 3 of these women were part of the board who so rightly selected me as CEO. But beyond their amazing judgment, they have each made my first 2 years in this position absolutely unforgettable. So Shelley Marcelli Greggs has always been ready to roll up her sleeves and help, no matter what the event. As an educator, Shelley offered me incredible education insight. Did I mention that Shelley is also Italian? So naturally, we bonded over biscotti and orecchiette. So thank you, Shelley, for all that you've done for SCCF and me personally. Next up, we have Robin Kravanek. Robin knows these islands like few others. She has dedicated herself over the last decades to understanding many facets of our natural world, and she often would tell me stories of the walks she took on our nature trails. And I will always be grateful for Robin's advice and ability to give it to me straight with immense kindness. Thank you, Robin. And now finally, Linda Uhler. It's hard to know where to start with Linda. Linda has played prominent roles in 2 extraordinary experiences in my life. One, congressional classroom in high school, where she organized a week in DC, where I got to spend with Congressman Goss. And 2, she was on the executive committee of the board who selected me for this job. I am indeed grateful and deeply indebted to her for all that she's done for me and all that she continues to do for SCCF. It has been such a pleasure having you as a president this last year. Thank you, Linda, who happens to be in this room. So. And to all of our members, before we do that, I do want to say all of our outgoing board members will receive this incredible glass art from Sandy Gross, who is also a trustee, who has made these really beautiful handmade glass plates to display in recognition of their service to the organization. So I do want to say to all of our members, please stay safe and stay well and steadfast, because I have to be honest, we're not out of the woods yet. Just a little longer, we'll hang in there. Now back to Linda Uhler to wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Well, as I end my board service, I look back to when I first got actively involved with SCCF. Like so many people, it was through the Sea Turtle program, a program which was strong 20 years ago and continues with great success today. That experience introduced me to SCCF's other focus areas, and I began to learn more about the work that we do. What did I see, and what have I seen since then? Growth in our water quality research capability, from our recon system to a new building to a state-of-the-art research vessel. Success in our advocacy efforts by using science to make the case for preserving our natural resources and substantially raising public awareness. Educators who help to grow that awareness with engaging programs on all levels. Ongoing efforts to preserve land to benefit both people and wildlife, including our beloved Bailey homestead. A commitment to provide the best possible habitat for the creatures with whom we share the land and water. A dedicated staff that embraces our mission and carries it out each and every day. All of this adds up to a well-respected organization that has made and will continue to make a difference in keeping our area the special place that it is. Thank you for your ongoing support of SCCF and for being a part of our family. We promise that we will be good stewards of your investment in our organization as we work to protect and care for our coastal ecosystem. Thanks for joining us today virtually. The slideshow that we put together will continue to play as we adjourn. We'll see you next year, same time, different place.